There's more to imagine when you listen. So let your imagination soar with Audible. Audible has audio titles from every genre that will inspire you to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. As an Audible member, you get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog. Enjoy an exciting reawakening of a beloved classic with the Audible original, David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Produced by Academy Award-winning director Sam Mendes. Starring Ncuti Gatwa, Helena Bonham Carter, and Theo James. This adaptation breathes new life into a familiar tale. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text IMAGINE to 500-500. That's audible.com/imagine or text IMAGINE to 500-500.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Welcome to How to Survive, the show that teaches you how to survive the stuff that can kill you.
Like drowning, or being pressed with rocks, or being a woman at any time at all.
And the stuff that just makes you wish you were dead.
Like being bullied, or dangerous theme park rides, or New Jersey.
You know what would make me feel so great right now, Danielle?
Hearing our theme song.
It never fails to satisfy me.
Happy Halloween!
Ground is shaking under our feet, mountains on fire, flooding in the street. Can't breathe the air, can't fight the feeling. Goblin down, Xanax ain't the way to be dealing. Gotta do better than just getting high. We gotta stick together if we're gonna survive. How to survive. How to survive.
Happy Halloween!
Ooh, spooky.
Those are supposed to be bats.
That was good.
I scared Garen. He thought there was a real bat in here.
They're echolocating.
They are.
That was the noise you did.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was intending.
You should get a job.
Period.
Doing.
I agree.
This is your job right now. Take it seriously. You're getting paid a lot of
Yep.
cash
Regular paychecks.
money.
Mm-hmm.
Doing voices. I mean, we already know you can do Australian.
Yep.
British.
Yep.
Bat echolocating.
Yes. Those are the top three.
Top three.
Those are what Hollywood is clamoring for.
Easy stuff. And then I don't know yet what Sven and I are going to be.
Wait, you guys still dress up?
Oh, yeah, because we go to a party and all the adults dress up too.
Oh, so you go to a party where it's adults and kids?
Yeah.
So the kids don't go trick-or-treating?
Yes, they go. It's outside in a front yard, and
Okay.
there's all kinds of food and drink and people.
Okay.
And it's in a neighborhood that's very packed.
Okay.
It's a very popular trick-or-treating neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
We stay there, take turns handing out candy.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids take off and go trick-or-treating. Usually an adult goes with them because I wouldn't, because I'm like, they're old enough. But there's always a parent who's like, they're going to go alone? No, I'll go with them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
then-
like, they're fine.
So are you throwing your keys into the bowl with all the candy? Or is it a separate bowl for keys and a separate bowl for candy?
Separate bowls.
Separate bowls?
And then we just, none of us wear underpants for
Right.
easy access.
So whatever the costume is,
gross.
Raggedy Ann sans underwear.
Yeah. And
Okay.
all of it's slutty.
Well, you apparently have a lot to get to today.
Oh my
so
God.
maybe we should dive in.
Speaking of what you could dress up
Yes.
at Halloween.
Right.
Let's get into how to survive being a witch.
Yes.
Guys.
And you don't mean like a real housewife. You mean like an actual.
An actual in the flesh witch.
Okay.
All right. So listen, we know about the Salem witch trials, right?
Yes.
But did you know there were other ones?
Yeah, I guess there must have been.
So in the oldie-timey centuries, witch hunting happened all over Europe too, specifically southwestern Germany.
Okay.
Guess where? Black Forest.
Yes, they belong there.
I mean, that's the best place for witches.
Yes.
Right? I mean, if you're going to have a witch hunt, have it in the Black Forest.
Right.
It's the best place. I think you don't hear about it as much because when something happens in Europe and something happens in America, it's like America always wins out, right? We're like doing it the better. We're doing it best. Okay.
Yeah, they probably did it like 10 years after us.
Yeah. It's like Levi's.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we want to get your Levi's. We want to copy your witch hunts. All right. So witches were considered to be followers of Satan who traded their souls for Satan's help.
Okay.
They also used demons to help them accomplish magical deeds.
Okay.
Right? I mean, wouldn't you back then too?
Yeah. Now, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but are these just the idea, like in Salem, the women didn't consider themselves witches. They were just tried as witches. So is this the idea that these people thought they were witches? Like they themselves thought, I'm a witch?
No.
Okay.
They
so it's
were
the same,
accused.
Same kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
All right.
But like, this is what people thought about witches.
Gotcha.
Right? Okay. I mean, there might have been some mentally ill people who also thought they were witches, right?
Sure.
I mean, that probably happened too.
Maybe they just were imaginative.
Yeah, maybe they're just creative. Well, you're going to come to find out. Mm-hmm. Some of these women were just like, I like to wear bright colors. You know, like the things that were causing them to be accused of being witches, you're like, holy shit.
Right.
Okay. They could change from human to animal form. Mm-hmm. What animal would you change into, Garen?
Oh, a wolf.
Nice. Strong.
Alpha.
Yeah. Danielle?
The first thing I thought of, and I don't even know if this is true, but the first thing I thought of was kangaroo.
Huh.
For one thing, they get to hop.
Yes.
They're very powerful.
They can really kick ass with those little bing, bing, bing.
Yes, and they keep their babies with them.
In a pouch.
In a pouch.
Yes.
It's so cute and fun.
Oh my God, that's such a good choice.
Yeah, but they're really mean, I think.
Yeah, they can be.
They can.
Did you see the guy save his dog from a kangaroo?
I heard about it. I have not seen it.
It's wild. He's just standing there in the water with the dog. And the guy's like, hey, mate, give me my dog back. That was my Australian accent.
That was
I'm gonna say after that
good.
voiceover
Can't wait to
thing.
hear Bat.
He grabs his dog and he just starts fighting the penguin, the kangaroo.
Like
they start
punching.
boxing. It's wild. The
Oh, I
camera
gotta
goes flying. He runs away. It's very funny.
I'll have to
Australians
link
are
this.
so tough.
Including the kangaroos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The animals too. I mean, they'll just
Yeah,
kill
but the
you.
person, I love it.
I think I might. It's a toss up between beaver and otter.
Oh, otters are
otter's a
so
good one.
cute.
Otters. I mean, I don't really like to be in cold water, but they have that really thick fur that keeps them warm. And
Yes.
just rolling around
They're
and
so
cuddling
cute.
with another otter, and then I have a little baby otter on my tummy.
Yeah, but wait, why would you want to be a beaver? You're just working constantly.
That's true. But I'm doing good things to save the world, and
That's right.
I like to think of myself as a person who's doing good things.
You're a do-gooder.
I'm a do-gooder.
Good do-gooder beaver.
Animals acted as their familiar spirits.
They're
So
familiar.
They had their familiars. Sally's my familiar. Mandy is an actual demon. Wait till you guys see what Mandy did to my leg. I'm going to show you. It's really bad right now.
Why does anyone have cats?
I don't know why. I mean, I'm
honest
really
to
starting to
God.
question this decision. Okay, so witches rode through the air at night. I mean, we've seen this in many cartoon and film, to secret meetings and orgies.
Oh, fun.
I mean, honestly, like it kind of sounds good to be a witch. Mm-hmm. So way back in the late 17th century, there's this modern port community on Massachusetts Bay known as Salem Town, okay? 10 miles inland, there's a smaller, poorer farming community with around 500 people.
Okay.
This is Salem Village. This is where,
Okay. Like Santa's Village, but it's witch themed.
yeah, it's not as adorable.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where the stuff's going to go down. This is important. I'm only going to scratch the surface.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to give you some really good recommendations of places. If you're like, I'm a witch aficionado, I'm going to give you places you can go to get really deep into
Okay.
some stuff.
Is this like 1600s?
It's 1692.
Okay.
Is only for 9 months.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, witch hunting is hundreds and hundreds of years. And it
Okay.
continues today, and we're going to get into it. But,
Trump, you mean?
oh, well, yeah, the witch hunt against
Yeah,
Trump. That's, okay, I'm going to talk for 2 hours about that. He's really a victim, you guys. So there's this rivalry between two families, okay? So that would take 6-part episode. I'm going to make it really short. There's the Paris family,
Okay.
okay? They show up, right? New in town. The dad's a pastor. He brings his kids, a niece, 2 slaves named John Indian and Tituba, all right?
Okay.
They're important to the story. You could, again, get into that, but I'm just going to let you know they exist. Immediately, he's like, I need more money. He becomes a pastor, and he's very Orthodox Puritan.
Okay.
Oh, guys, I just want to remind everyone who's listening. So these are Puritans. Remember, Puritans came over and settled so they could have religious freedom. To be more religious. This is important when we think about our country as a whole.
Yes.
That the people who
Right.
settled. This echoes through,
Well, they wanted to be their religion.
which was more
Right.
like what Puritans, like intense. Okay.
Strong work ethic.
He's asking for more money, and he's very Orthodox Puritan. So Salem divides into 2 camps, right? The Paris camp and the anti-Paris. Paris is his family, which is like, again, very Orthodox. So his daughter and niece and a friend, they're all these hormonal tweens, okay? They begin exhibiting strange behavior.
Right.
So it's speculated that it may have been stimulated by voodoo tales told by Tituba, but I think that's pretty disputed, right? And sounds
The black guy did it.
Yeah.
Right.
But another historian describes it as juvenile delinquency, which I'm going with because her dad is a dick and a religious nut. The girls start making odd sounds, throwing things, contorting their bodies, screaming, complaining of biting and pinching sensation. Another theory, which I think is even more believable, which I think I alluded to in another episode, is that they were hallucinating because of something called ergot, which was in the rye of their bread.
Yes, right.
That was making them hallucinate,
Right.
which I find really fascinating.
But
And
why only young girls why are they the only ones hallucinating though? Seems fishy.
good. I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we got to get you know what? We need a scientist on speed dial.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'll work on that.
Could you
Yeah.
do that? All right. Put that in your notes as your job. Okay. The local doctor could find no medical cause. And I guess he'd never heard of the chicken anus cure.
Oh right.
Could have done that.
Yep.
So he was like, you know what? It's the supernatural. Mm-hmm. That's the only option. So guess what? Another neighbor was like, you know what we need to do? We need to make a witch cake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about a witch cake?
I do. Is it going to make me want cake? Because that's going to be a problem.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
It might not.
All right.
So they made Tituba bake it. She's the slave who is, you know, it's not going to work out well for her. Wasn't, P.S., not her idea.
Okay.
It's made with the urine of the victims,
Okay.
and I don't know what else. You know, probably.
Well, that's your base ingredient.
Your base ingredient is victim urine.
Right.
And then they made the dog eat it. At least they didn't eat it.
What?
The dog eats it, and supposedly then whatever's bad in the victims is supposed to be.
Right, but then he'll be a witch. He'll be a witch dog.
Well, 2 dogs did die in the Salem
Oh,
witch
from the
trials.
cake?
I don't know. I don't have that information.
P.S. I don't want cake, by the way.
See?
It didn't make me want cake.
This is a way to get people to not want cake.
Yeah.
All right. So the cake, again, did nothing. It actually, I think, made the girls worse. Paris, the dad, is like, this is blasphemy. You better tell me who did this. Of course, they blame Tituba. She's like, saw that coming.
Oh, wait. The girls ate the cake as well as the dog.
You know what?
Because you said it made them sicker.
Well, no, the situation, I think,
Okay.
you know, they started
So
getting
stress.
worse.
Okay.
Okay, so the dad's really pissed. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, yeah, I saw that coming from about a mile away from these white bitches. So the girls then named 2 other people in the community. This woman named Sarah Good, who did not attend church regularly, but also was committed the sin of begging.
Oh.
So they were like,
Okay.
Sarah Osborne, who was even more sinful. She was old and bedridden.
Okay.
She sucked.
Yeah.
She also had a romance with a servant.
This old bedridden chick
Yeah.
had a romance with a servant?
At some point. Maybe it was earlier, or maybe,
maybe that's why she got bedridden.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Maybe he passed along something to her.
so here comes the public inquiry, right?
Okay.
Of all these 3 women. And all of them were like, yeah, I don't know what these...
So they're not blaming the girls at this point.
No,
They're
no.
blaming these 3 old bags.
Yeah.
For making the girls
Yeah.
banana heads.
Yes.
Okay.
And these 3 women are like, I don't know
Right.
what this is about. I didn't do anything. Finally, Tituba, remember, she's a slave.
Right.
She has no power in the situation, and she's repeatedly badgered by these, white men who are pillars of the community, who have a lot of power. She's like, you know what? I just remembered a funny story. I actually was visited by the devil. I made a deal with him. Yeah, I did see a wolf, and he was familiar, and this pig and cow that was also familiar, and I signed the devil's book, and I saw names of other women in the book. Here's who they are.
Okay.
So because that would help you if you did that, right?
Because you're turning state's evidence.
You're
you're like
exactly.
the latest Trump
Yes.
lawyer to flip.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure.
We're as of this date, we're up to 3.
Sorry. I think that was me, and I'm gonna turn that off. Okay. So other tweens start having the same unusual behavior as the Paris gang, making accusations of more witches in the community. Many tended to be members of the rival Putnam family. So I don't think I established this very well earlier, which is my bad. Paris and Putnam are rivals.
Yeah.
It's like the Catubits.
The Capulets.
The Capulets and the Montagues. So the Paris gang, they're sort of wealthy. They are aligned with the Salem the Salem port town, which is a wealthy, sort of more cosmopolitan town.
Right.
And they want to be connected.
Okay.
The Salem village wants to be connected with the wealthy port.
Okay.
The liberal elites, right?
Yeah,
the
those-
coastal elites.
Right. They have
Right?
they have an extra petticoat. That's
Yeah.
how you can tell them apart.
Oh yeah, Now, the Salem villagers, who are the Putnam clan, they're the ones that have the "Don't Tread on Me" flags, right? They're
Right.
like, you know what? We don't want anything to do with those coastal elites. I'm sorry, I'm doing that voice. That I shouldn't.
I
do
mean,
that.
this is Boston. You're in the wrong.
I am. I'm doing the wrong
part of-
voice.
part of
Sorry, I don't
America.
know how to do those accents, so I'm just gonna say
Just picture Matt Damon or something.
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, yeah.
So you've got these 2 rivals, right? And
Yeah.
the ones in the small village who don't want anything to do with the coastal elites, the Putnams, they're also just, more religious and more intense and more likely to believe in, devils and familiars and witches.
So why do they have anything to do with each other if they're in 2 different places?
Well, they live in the same community. They can't.
Oh, okay. It's not that far.
It's not. Oh, it's 10 miles away. The Putnams and the Paris all live in the same little village. It's
Okay.
just that the Paris wants to be connected
Oh, I see. Okay.
to the main
They're
city.
strivers,
Yes.
as you would say.
And the Putnams are like, we not only do we not want anything to do with this main city, we want complete independence from the main city,
okay.
right? We don't even want to have any connection. Okay, sorry. All right. Where was I? Sorry.
Putnams.
Okay. So here I was. The more tweens are starting to have this unusual behavior as this original Paris gang. They're making accusations of more witches in the community. The accusations they're making often tended to be members of the rival Putnam family.
Okay.
So isn't that convenient?
Yeah, right.
Isn't that
a lot of finger
convenient?
pointing.
Yeah. Oh, here's another witch. Oh, it's another Putnam. So when you're accused, you have no counsel. You have no attorney. That's you don't.
okay.
Not only do you don't get one, you're not
Right.
allowed one. It's not an option. Okay. You're testifying on the stand while the accusers are often writhing and babbling in the gallery. Imagine that. Imagine that. You're trying to prove your case, and a bunch of medieval Swifties
Right.
are from the 1600s are writhing in the stands while you talk.
Right.
Sounds like they're the witches.
Kind of, right?
Well, I think I always thought that was the story, was that the girls were the witches. But
they're
you're saying
afflicted.
No, they're afflicted by the witches.
P.S. How has Sofia Coppola not made this movie?
Because it's what do you call it? The Crucible. The Crucible's kind of took care of it. But yeah, you're right. But no, so they're not, the young girls are not considered witches
No.
in this version.
No, they're
Okay.
afflicted. So By the end of the trials, 19 people were hanged. 5 others died in custody. Another man died a different way. I'm saving that for the story.
Jerking off.
They made him masturbate to death.
Yeah.
Sorry, you made me bury it. I mean, you made me reveal it. Okay.
What happened to Tituba?
She was one of the 19 hanged.
Oh, so she didn't buy herself any goodwill by turning state's
I think she was one of the 19 hanged. You know what, Garen? Could you Google that for me?
Look up Tituba.
So here's an interesting outcome of this whole thing. It was a change to the U.S. court system. So the Sixth Amendment in 1791, the guarantee of right to legal representation, the right to cross-examine one's accuser, and the presumption of innocence rather than guilt was a direct result of the Salem witch trials.
Awesome. I love it.
Okay, you guys, do you want to know some fun tests to determine if someone was a witch?
I know one of them, the drowning.
That's the first one I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So these are mostly ones that came out of medieval Europe because a lot of people think, oh, a witch burned at the stake. That never happened in Salem.
Oh, okay.
Every witch in Salem was hung, except the one dude who, again, I'm going to tell you about at the end.
All
right. First one, the swimming test. This is the one most people have heard of. So accused witches, in case for those of you who haven't, right?
Haven't what?
Heard of it.
Oh, I thought you were saying in case you thinks someone in your neighborhood's a witch.
This
Follow
is what you
these
do.
directions.
Yeah, I'm going to give you instructions. Okay. Sorry, I needed a sip of water. Drag the person to the nearest body of water, right? Strip them down, bind them, toss them in.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Toss them
about
in.
the binding. Uh-huh.
Got to bind them. You can't give them arms to swim
Yeah,
with.
no, I just realized
Legs
that.
to kick with. See if they sink or float.
Right.
Okay. Because they've spurned the sacrament of baptism, it's believed the water would reject their bodies.
Oh.
Right? Prevent them from submerging. An innocent person sinks like a stone.
Right.
A witch would bob like a buoy.
Right.
Okay. What they would do is tie a rope around the woman's waist so they could pull her out in case she sunk. Guess what, though? It was not unusual at that time for accidental drowning deaths to occur.
Sorry. Well, how would they be? I mean, wouldn't it be every single person? Wouldn't every single person drown?
Well, they tied a rope around their waist so that when they did sink,
they
could
could
go,
pull 'em
okay,
up.
we can pull them up. But I think there were a lot of malfunctions
Oh, gotcha.
with
okay.
this system. It was not a perfect system.
I thought you were going to pull her back up.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, she got stuck. Think of them just waiting too long.
Yeah. That's probably what happened.
All right. Here's another one. The prayer test.
It's a bungee cord. Something they got it from the future. Just
Piece
keep
of
bouncing.
yarn.
Yeah.
Another belief from this time was that witches couldn't speak scripture aloud. So they'd be made to recite selections of the Bible, often the Lord's Prayer, without a single mistake.
Okay.
Not taking into account that a lot of those people were
Illiterate,
couldn't read, or would be so nervous because their life was on the line. So during the Salem witch trials, an accused sorcerer, George Burroughs, flawlessly recited the prayer, the Lord's Prayer, right at the gallows.
Okay.
And they were like, nope, devil's trick, hang him anyway. Witches' marks. Okay, so witch hunters like to have a suspected witch strip in public.
Well,
Right?
there was no television back then. I mean, you had to get
they
your kicks somehow.
love to have people strip in public.
Yeah.
These Puritans
Yeah.
love to have people take their clothes off in public so they could look for a mark of Satan. Okay. So this devil's mark, it was believed could change shape and color, and it was believed to be numb and insensitive to pain.
Oh,
Here we go. All right. They might also search for the witch's teat, which was an extra nipple that they would use to suckle their helper animals.
Okay, so when they find none of this, they just change the rules. It's what I used to call Big Brother rules. Like when you're playing a game with your big brother and then he suddenly changes it so that he can keep winning.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
just-
heard that.
I just made it
It's
up.
yours.
It's mine, yeah.
It's a DK original.
Right. So it's like that, like, oh, you are suffering pain. Well, I guess it was the wrong spot. Or, oh, that is a third nipple, even though it's a freckle.
That's exactly what they did, Danielle.
Okay.
You are maybe a witch because you're so brilliant.
Yeah. Well, drown me. Let's see.
I have other plans for you. So moles, scars, birthmarks, sores, supernumerary nipples, which I think means an extra one.
Yeah.
Tattoos could all qualify.
They had tattoos then?
I think they had like weird rudimentary, you know. Yeah.
Just like a belt buckle or?
Yeah, they'd have like a little, you know, witch's hat. A little, you know, like maybe it was like a little.
I heart father.
Maybe a little loaf of bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you get tattooed
Witch
in the
cake?
1600s?
I don't know.
A cross?
Cross, but a lot of crosses.
A lot of crosses back then. That was I mean, I would think a tattoo would just be like a stick dipped in hot coals and then
Right.
dug into your skin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm getting a cross, right?
Right.
For one, obviously, I want to show that I really love God,
Yeah.
and it's over fast,
Oof. Sounds,
right?
Yeah.
It's going to be painful. So, in the midst of witch hunts, the villagers would sometimes...
Is Calvin peeing on a pea cake? Sorry.
Oh, no, I love that. So, people would burn off or cut off any offending marks on their bodies, only to have their wounds labeled as proof.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Not thinking
yeah.
that through exactly.
No. I'm going to give you some tips now. How to survive, because that's what the show is called.
Yeah.
In this time period. Of course, we're going to get into modern day.
Yeah.
But right now, Danielle, Garen, because you know this happened to men too.
Well, I was going to ask that. Yeah.
You're in Salem. Some tweens,
Yeah.
some hormonal tweens, have just accused you and our listeners too. Listen to this. You're a witch, okay?
Uh-huh.
Here are my top, I don't know how many, few survival tips. Are
Okay.
you ready?
Yeah.
Number 1.
Get the hell out of town.
That's one,
Okay. Sorry.
but not yet.
All right.
Get pregnant.
Oh.
So listen, those God-fearing folks of Salem believe that even if you've sold your soul to the Prince of Darkness, your widow baby's innocent.
Okay.
So get yourself knocked up and you're not going to be hung, okay? If you are in jail, because many of the people who get accused, they just throw them in jail and then they have to await trial. So people spent a long time in jail.
But this only happened over the course of 9 months, you said, right?
Maybe it was a year. I don't
Okay.
know. It's short.
Okay.
But people...
So you got to prove you're pregnant like really fast somehow.
You might have to pick somebody in jail with you.
Yeah.
Like you got, you know what?
Yeah. One for the team.
You know what? You might have to pick somebody who you wouldn't normally pick, but like,
Yeah. Can't be picky.
take what you can get,
Right.
right?
Witches can't be picky.
Yeah. Witches can't be picky.
Yeah.
Not in this situation. Normally
Right.
I'd say witches be picky.
Right. I said witches be shopping. but witches be picky for sure.
Witches be picky. Okay. That might give you another 280 days,
Okay.
right? Now, once that baby comes out, I don't know, get a plan B.
See, yeah. Well, it's too late. The baby's come out.
In 14 states, you can't. So now, if this isn't an option for you, listen up.
Okay.
Next one.
Yeah.
This is, to me, like right away the thing I'm going to do. Okay? Confess and apologize.
Okay.
Easy, right? Just say, yep, I'm a witch. Really sorry. It's not going to happen again. In Salem, if you confessed during the trial, you won't be executed,
Oh, okay.
right? So here's the rub. Your reputation is ruined forever,
Yeah.
and you're locked out of your community, okay?
Oh, boy.
But this is important.
Yeah.
Not executed.
Right. Okay.
You get to keep breathing, okay?
Okay.
So people in Salem, they believe that fate of the witches is in God's hands, all right? Okay? Unless, of course, the person said they weren't a witch, and then they're like, okay, not in God's hands anymore, now it's in our hands.
Got
and
it.
we're going to decide based on pea cakes and what some tweens said. Escape. Okay. Do you, either of you, somehow, in this poor rural is so hard to say.
It's the worst word ever.
Right? Have money
Uh-huh.
and connections,
Uh-huh.
yet still live in this tiny, poor rural village. You might if you're part of that, highfalutin family. If so, you can escape, but you can never return. And you
I'm
will
fine with
lose
that.
all your finest burlap frocks.
This sounds like the shittiest town ever. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I think anywhere but Salem sounds better than Salem at this point.
Anywhere but Salem.
Yeah.
That's your
That's what you're-
license
yeah,
plate.
yeah.
Cover
On
on
your buggy.
On your little buggy.
Yeah. Anywhere but Salem.
Okay. Here's a classic. And it's used a lot because it worked. Accuse someone else.
Yes. Jacques.
Yes. J'accuse. Me? A witch?
You know who's really a witch?
Yeah. I am actually bewitched.
Goody Sarah over there.
Goody Sarah. Throw in some writhing on the floor and babbling, and you'll really sell it.
That you've been
Bewitched, yeah.
Okay, got
this
it.
was done several times successfully. So as long as you're okay with the sin of lying,
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
totally, right?
Well, no, I'm not fine with I just accused the jerkiest person in
Yeah.
Salem, I guess.
One of those tweens.
Yeah. Oh, bring it full circle.
You know,
you
those are-
started this, you idiots.
Why don't we take a look at these tweens over here?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to know some tips on what you should not do?
Yeah, of course.
All right, here's one. Plead innocent.
Oh.
Don't do that, okay?
Okay.
Maybe it saves your soul from sin, but you're likely to be executed. Remember, you don't have a lawyer. You're not allowed one. And they have a ton of evidence against you, Garen Extra Nipple.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
The one the horse got.
Yeah, that one's gone.
Okay.
Good thing you had an extra.
Right.
All right. So here's another thing you shouldn't do. Say nothing.
Oh.
Don't do that, okay?
Okay.
Because you know what happens when you say nothing?
You get hanged? They rip your tongue out.
First, they torture you.
Oh.
They torture you, and then you're going to probably talk or die.
Yeah.
One of those things are going to happen, okay? So, guys, I know there's some of you out there who are like, who cares?
In general.
Yeah.
About our show.
Our regular listeners who are like, who gives a shit? This was like
Not a real thing.
centuries
Right.
ago.
And it affected 19 people.
Yeah. Well, we also have like European witch trials
Yes.
that happened over centuries. And you're like, okay, but how about the Red Scare? McCarthyism. I bet the Hollywood 10
Right. That's
would like
why,
to talk to you a little about surviving witchcraft
Well, that's why the
accusations.
Crucible was written as a
Exactly.
metaphor for the HUAC.
Very nice, Danielle.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then our listeners like, how old do you think we are?
Well, it's a classic play. It was the Crucible is still done in high schools.
Yeah.
It's about the Salem witch trial, but it was a metaphor for people being accused of being communists in the 1950s, McCarthyism. Look that up. It's very interesting.
I love it.
And then
Not that it happened.
On the Waterfront was written as a rebuttal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the movie On the Waterfront, which is actually a great movie, but it's sort of like a pro-squealing to save yourself reaction to the Crucible.
And you get to look at Marlon Brando,
Oh boy,
who
do
is
you?
just pure
Sex.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it like shimmers off of his body.
It's
in that movie.
ridiculous.
It's disgusting
Yeah.
how good looking he is in that film. Witch trials are still happening.
All right.
Guess what? In fact, charges of witchcraft are increasing.
What?
Yeah, sit with that for a moment and I will let you adjust.
By like crazy Christians?
Listen to this, okay? Belief in witchcraft is not uncommon. Canadian people, a 2005 poll of Canadians and people from the United Kingdom found that 13% believed in witches.
Wow.
Americans,
It's got to be more.
21%.
Holy shit.
All right, I'm going to give you some. All right, I got to just let you know, it's going to get a little dark now.
Okay.
All right, it's going to get dark, then it's going to get darker, then we're going to have a fun story.
Okay.
All right. The WHO says that, no, let me start that over. According to the According to the World Health Organization, men, women, and children in Zambia are accused of spreading HIV/AIDS through witchcraft. Some of the accused are leaders in the scientific community. Witch
What?
hunters have been known to kill those accused of witchcraft with so-called poisonous tea. In one town in Zambia, a witch hunter killed 16 people in less than 4 months. All right, I'm just going to throw out some examples, okay? In 2008, rumors that a successful soccer player was using witchcraft triggered a riot in Kinshasa, Congo. The riot and stampede killed 13 people.
He was using witchcraft to win. Is that what they're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Why, shouldn't they be happy about that?
This must be a rival
Maybe it was
team.
the opposing side. All right. In India, landowning women are sometimes accused of witchcraft. Neighbors of the suspected witch may begin collecting firewood on which the suspect will burn. The women, often older widows,
Oh boy.
are scared enough to leave their homes.
Oh.
Their neighbors then take the land. People who look different are often victims of witch trials. In Tanzania, albino people are in danger of being killed.
Oh,
Since
no.
2007, more than 50 albinos have been murdered.
Oh, my God.
I'm not going to read the rest. And if you think the stuff that I've talked about is horrific, I'm not saying the worst stuff.
Oh, okay.
All right, here's one. So former President Yahya Jammeh of the Gambia. I didn't realize it was called the Gambia.
It is?
And that makes me want to laugh.
Is it really called the Gambia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Believed he was being targeted by witches. Okay, so this blew my mind. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole in this, and I'm only going to say a little. According to Amnesty International, as many as 1,000 Gambians accused of witchcraft were arrested and tortured on order from the president. Most of them were elderly.
Wait, didn't you say he thought...
He was obsessed with witchcraft.
Okay, so he ordered all these...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
At least 41 people are dead. They're still trying to figure out how many more. President Yame also claimed to be able to cure AIDS on Thursdays.
Oh, so it's Taco Tuesday.
Yep.
Hump Day Wednesday.
Yep.
And Cure AIDS Thursdays.
Fired doctors who disagreed with him. Okay. This isn't just happening in Africa. Saudi Arabia's religious police force, let that sink in, has an anti-witchcraft unit
Jesus.
established in 2009. And in 2012, they arrested 215 conjurers.
Whoa.
In a court trial, both a man and a woman, these were separate cases, were beheaded for sorcery convictions. 2 Asian housemaids got 1,000 lashes and 10 years in prison for casting spells against their employers.
What the fuck?
Okay. In London, British police have started to have special training in witchcraft-related abuse because it's on the rise, particularly in immigrant communities. And that's all I'm going to say about that because the examples were too sad.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You mean, so the police don't think there are witches?
No.
The police are trying to protect people accused of being witches.
Yes.
Okay.
And they have to get training in how to sort of communicate with these communities.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So most of the, here's something that's going to blow your mind, guys. I'm being sarcastic. Most of the witch hunters in every part of the globe are men. And most of the victims are women. In Papua New Guinea, estimates are that witchcraft-related violence is directed 5-1 against women. I would assume that those numbers translate into many other communities.
Sure. I think, though, it's, I don't mean to show you up, but I think it's the Papua New Guinea.
We got to tell a story, guys.
Oh, yeah, story.
We got to get out of that darkness and into the light.
Okay.
With a good,
juicy
murder.
Okay.
Let's have some
Something
fun.
lighthearted.
Something light. All right. So we're going back to Salem.
Let's do it.
I didn't tell you one story.
Yes, you left us hanging, so
And
to
this
speak.
is not going to be that
Okay.
because, we got enough of that.
All right.
So this is a man named Giles Corey. He was a farmer. He was born in England and then he came over to America. He settled in Salem and he and his wife Margaret had a daughter named Deliverance.
Okay.
And they became farmers. Okay.
She was really good at the harmonica. Wait, that's the wrong word. Fiddle. Oh,
Banjo?
I screwed. Banjo. God damn it. I
banjo.
screwed
all right.
the whole thing up.
No, we're going to fix it in post.
She
All
was
right,
really
they're all
good at the
hillbilly
banjo.
instruments. Are
Oh,
fine.
stupid idiot. All
Okay.
right.
So he was a good farmer, good life, but Margaret died. Women
As women do.
As they
that
do
time.
back then.
Yeah.
He married again, Margaret Bright. They settled into peaceful farming and church going. Okay. But then a fateful night changed everything. Corey discovered his farmhand, Jacob, had stolen some apples. Mm-hmm. Corey didn't like that, so he pummeled his farmhand to death.
Oh, my God.
With a stick.
Jesus Christ.
Then Corey told the authorities, he fell and broke his arm. Guess what? The authorities were like, we don't believe that. And John Proctor heard Corey confessed that he'd beaten the guy to death. They were able to convict the farmer, but instead of jail time for this church-going, good, upstanding man of the community, they just gave him a fine.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, just to be a white man at any time in history is pretty good. So some of the town leaders, though, were like, I don't think this is cool that he just buy his way out of killing a guy with a stick.
Right.
Plus, he'd already been twice before accused and tried for theft. So this, guy does not have a great reputation, okay? This ends up being his undoing at the height of the witch trial stuff, okay? Plus, Giles had made the mistake of aligning himself with the liberal elite Porter faction, okay? So that's going to hurt him.
Oh, got it.
During
Okay.
the witch trials. Okay. Second wife dies, so 6 years later, he marries third time.
Is her name Margaret also?
Her name's Martha.
Okay.
Close. I mean,
He's got a type.
well, he's also got staircase vibes, right?
For
Just like all these
sure.
women falling down some stairs or...
Yeah.
So she's a widow as well, and she's helping to keep Corey on the straight and narrow. You know, no more stealing, murdering with sticks.
Okay.
They become full members of the church, and you know he's getting old, and they're elderly, right? They're like, by the time of the witch trials in 1692, I think they're both 80.
Oh,
or
that's
he's
old.
80, she's a little younger. Yeah,
That's
they're
old for
living
back then.
Back then,
Jesus.
that's like 104 now.
Yeah.
They're starting to go to all the trials just to watch them. You know, again. No TV.
Entertainment.
Right.
Yeah.
So they start thinking, well, Martha, because she's smart, they're starting to doubt the validity of all this. They're like, all this witch stuff, it's BS, okay?
Huh.
So she thinks, we shouldn't go. There's all this paranoia. They're going to start looking at us. Let's stop going. So
Okay.
she hides his saddle so he can't go to anymore. But not going makes them look weird.
Oh,
You can't
God's
win again,
sake.
right? So then they start looking at her because she has a checkered sexual past. She had an illegitimate son.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. So the girls in the Putnam faction start mimicking Martha's movements and gestures, right? And say, oh, she's bewitching us and she's controlling us. So she's officially accused of witchcraft. Listen to this asshole. Giles testifies against his wife.
Of course he does.
He's like, oh, yeah, I saw her doing something weird with the cat and the ox, and then they got sick. Well, then he gets accused, and he's in jail with her. Awkward. So they're both in jail awaiting trial. And Corey's then like, I'm innocent. I'm not answering any questions. He does the I'm not going to speak
Uh-oh.
tactic.
We know
So,
that doesn't work.
Doesn't work. They're in prison for months, waiting a full trial. So by the time the court gets around to the Coreys, there's a dozen witnesses prepared to testify against them. Corey's like, I've had enough of this. I know I'm dead no matter what, so I'm not saying anything. He deeded his farming land to his two son-in-laws because he's like, you know what? I just want to make sure my son-in-laws are okay.
Okay.
I know I'm dead no matter what. Everyone's already convinced, you know, I'm a bad guy. So at least my land's not going to get taken away. So the penalty for standing mute was torture.
Oh, my God.
A judge ordered peine forte et dure. I don't know what language that is. Maybe Latin?
Bread. Wait, how do you spell it?
Peine, P-E-I-N-E.
Oh, no. I
Forte, F-O-R-T-E, E-T-D-U-R-E. Peine forte et
Okay.
dure. A method of torture by which heavier and heavier stones are stacked upon the chest
Oh, I've
of the
heard of
accused
this.
until they either plea or die. Mm-hmm. He would never plead guilty. He knew death was his only option. Authorities stripped Corey naked and forced him to lay down on the ground.
really into this
Oh my God,
nudity.
they're such pervs.
I know.
People are so repressed. A board was placed on top of him, then gradually large stone weights were added to the board. This happened over the course of 2 to 3 days.
Oh, my God.
When the stones started to crush Corey's body, he cried, more weight, more weight.
Whoa.
He wanted death to come quickly. Spectators were either horrified or entranced by this horrific way to die. Robert Califf, who witnessed Corey's torture, said that Corey's tongue being pressed out of his mouth, P-R-E-S-T, because they didn't know how to spell.
Well, they're illiterate.
The sheriff, with his cane, forced it in again when he was dying.
Oh, come on.
So creepy. Corey's death, though, painful, was not in vain. His two son-in-laws did get the land. And after his execution, the people of Salem began to doubt the usefulness of a witch hunt. The gory death led historians to label Corey a martyr. His refusal to plead guilty, according to historians, gave back fortitude and courage rather than spite and bewilderment.
Okay.
So maybe it was just it's so creeped out everyone that they
Yeah.
were like,
Maybe
should we
this is a little overboard.
not do this?
Interesting. Wow.
Is this
also,
wrong?
it was a dude.
Yeah, a man.
maybe-
Something bad happening to
yeah.
a man.
Do
was
we know
like-
what happened to Martha?
She was hung
Oh, Martha.
shortly thereafter.
Oh my God.
I would have been like, I'm not a witch.
I could not have been quiet. There's no way. I would be just like, I'm going to die either way.
Yeah. Well, maybe he was like, I did actually kill somebody. And that was
Oh, that's true. Maybe
I am actually an asshole.
Yeah.
I
Right.
did actually accuse my wife. Like, I deserve it. None of this, again, it's like, has not happened before.
Right.
And continues to happen.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things that continue to happen, I need to go make a witch cake. So we will be back right after this.
Fall is here, and if you want to sleep in the coziest bed imaginable, you have to start with Boll & Branch's best-selling 100% organic cotton sheets. You'll spend every night wrapped in buttery, breathable softness and feel your sheets get even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with Boll & Branch's 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off and free shipping on your first set of sheets. Visit bollandbranch.com and use code WONDERY15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Canva presents your work horoscope for this week. Deadlines are in retrograde, which we all know can bring some intense energy. Our advice: fend off this forecast with Canva. Like Canva whiteboards to counter creative blocks, and Canva docs for clarity in communications. If you have any sales deals coming through, results will be in your favor with Canva presentations, manifesting many wins for you. It's a great week to love your work at canva.com.
Welcome back to How to Survive, where we have our shit together.
So, Kristine, do you want to tell the audience what just happened?
We had double booked. By we, I mean, I guess I double booked,
Yeah.
and another guest was waiting to come in and tell a story that I didn't know what the story was.
Right. Oh, you didn't? Yeah. Right. Well, that's not really the problem.
That's not the main problem of the story.
We have two guests. So, you know what? Some weeks we've had no guests. So this sort of made up for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, other guests. We'll see you next month.
We could have had a guest off if we had two mics, right?
That sounds nightmarish.
It really does.
Yeah. So anyway, how else was everyone's break? Besides, well, you broke into a sweat, you said.
I
Like a
panicked, guys.
panic sweat.
If you smell a bad smell, it's my panic sweat. I use natural deodorant. I'm sorry, it's usually effective, but today,
Oh no.
Oh no.
not sure.
So sorry. And Garen, you're good?
Great. Yeah,
Yeah?
Just sitting back and watching the fun happen.
You're just having normal sweat, normal nervous sweat.
Normal Garen sweat.
Okay.
It's just
That
constant.
sounds good. Let's get off the topic of
Body odor.
yeah. So on the first half of the show, we talked about surviving Salem, and now we're going to talk about surviving New Jersey with our special guest Kevin Seccia.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
Good
So
to see you.
you know Kevin. Well, I first met Kevin doing stand-up, and we also worked on a show together, which we'll talk about in a second. But you also know Kevin as a writer and producer from The Great North, that great animated show on Fox.
I love the Great North.
It is Fox.
Yes, it is Fox, right?
All episodes streaming on Hulu, available now.
okay, sorry. Yes.
But also Fox
And there
initially.
might be another season, but we don't know for sure.
Well, season 4 will be, we don't know. We're making it. We don't know when it'll air.
Okay.
Probably January.
Okay,
So we'll
that's
see.
good.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating? I mean, I've worked in animation, but not on anything I care about. Is it frustrating to like write something and then not see it for so long? Or you're just used to it?
No, I'm kind of used to it, I guess, because I work a lot in animation. So it's
Mm-hmm.
also like, it's just nice to be surprised. Like 6 months later, like, oh, that was a pretty good joke I came up with.
Right?
I'm
Remember
all right.
that?
Yeah.
That's good. So Kevin and I wrote on another one in our illustrious careers. We wrote on a show called Starface, which, if you hear the word Starface, what do you think that's about?
The band Kiss.
Okay,
Yeah, good guess.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Thanks.
What
I
do you-
feel like I've watched the show.
Oh, okay. So you might
But I
know.
don't have a memory of it. It definitely sounds science fiction-y.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a game show hosted by Danny Bonaducci.
Oh.
We got him.
We got him.
That was us.
Is this a
We
VH1
nabbed it.
production?
No, it was the Game Show Network, I believe.
Yeah, this is the Game Show Network, right?
yeah.
And he actually was fairly nice.
He was very nice.
He was a good guy.
He was like very aware of his place in the world, which I feel like is not, that sounds mean,
Yes.
but you feel like someone like that maybe isn't necessarily in tune with what's
you're
going on, and he was a very nice guy.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good way to put it. Like he didn't like think he was something and he was. He knew the score.
Yeah.
So it was called. They went through. We suggested. It was one of those shows where we were on from the beginning. So they asked us for title suggestions.
Okay.
We probably gave them 100 titles.
Yeah.
That
maybe
were better.
celebrity name game. You know, you
anything
understand
that
what the
has-
show is.
Yes.
How
Right.
about
something with a game in the
guess
title?
the celebrity? You know, yeah.
Who's this
Yeah.
celebrity? Yeah, it was called Starface because you had to guess. Well, I just remember at one point that people put masks of celebrities on their faces, the contestants.
Yeah.
And then the other contestants like had to guess who they were or something, or they had to guess who they were.
There were like jokey questions, which is where we came in,
Yes.
and then third round was like a mask. I remember the day where, like, after working for months, it was like, guys, we got the title, and we sit down, and it's like Starface, and it was like,
We all just stared.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Wait, what are we talking about? Like, even Face the Star would have made more sense.
Anything
Like,
would have been better than Starface. Yeah. So I was telling what? Oh, do you have a question?
I do.
Yes.
So is this, if I understand the premise correctly, regular people wearing masks of celebrity faces, not actual celebrities are on this show?
Oh no! I mean, unless you count Danny Bonaducci, which I don't know.
He
if you
was
do.
the star. Okay.
Yes, for one round they wore masks.
Got it. Okay.
That was just I mean, we got to write jokes. Every single question was a joke, which maybe didn't work well for a game show, but it was at least fun to write.
Yeah.
And the mask added nothing. It was like
Nothing.
a paper mask. It was as anticlimactic as you're imagining that. That's what happened. They just would take out like a little
Yeah.
string cardboard mask and then
Right.
not even do an impression, just continue
No.
playing the game.
Oh,
And,
that would have been horrible if we had asked the contestants to do impressions.
Yeah, no,
that might have
that's-
been. Oof.
It's the one area we didn't screw up in. That
Right,
was-
right. All right. Well, before all this happened, you were a little boy growing up in New Jersey. So we want to hear about your various escapades.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey in the 90s, which implies a lot. Well, first of all, like New Jersey is still kind of like in the 90s. When I go back,
okay.
they're like not where they, not in a bad way, maybe a little bit in a bad way, but it's just not, they're still kind of back there for whatever reason.
They're always like behind, you're saying, in
Yeah,
fashion and
the
like
fashion.
everything.
They're still
Okay.
wearing the, like everyone's dressed like I was dressed in high school.
Is
It's
it
like,
small town New Jersey?
very small
Okay.
town.
So it was every station classic rock.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah, it's a small mountain town. I kind of lurk on this Facebook group devoted to my town, Vernon. And it's all these people that were just like, where can I get the best seafood? Or where can I get the best Mexican food? Like in our town, like all, and I just want to be like, guys, not here.
Yes.
Not here. Go look at the mountain. That's your Mexican food. Go look at the mountain. Go to the lake. That's what you get. You don't get
Right.
fucking filet mignon, okay?
Right.
I'm sorry.
Go into New York and figure it
Yeah,
out.
drive 2 hours. But so it was like, especially the 90s, it was like the Wild West. I mean, it was like there's no supervision, there's no cell phones. You're just going out for hours at a time, letting yourself in and out of your house with your key, getting into fights, lighting fires. It was crazy.
Okay.
And I had this bully that just made my life miserable at the time. Being, I will say, Asian and nerdy with asthma was not a recipe for popularity in the 90s in
You
New
couldn't
Jersey.
tell them you're half Italian? That wouldn't help?
No, that didn't. They didn't want to hear that.
They did-
That
okay.
did not. There were no pasta jokes. There was no ravioli jokes. They went the other way.
Oh, okay,
with the-
gotcha. A lot of chopstick jokes.
yeah, a lot of chopstick, a lot of sushi. I'm like I
a
barely know what
Korean.
sushi is. I'm Korean. And it's not a popular thing yet. But in 15 years, you're going to feel pretty stupid when it takes over.
So wait, what age are we talking here?
This is maybe junior year,
Okay.
and I had this one bully, and he'd made my life miserable like 4 years, and he'd come from another town. He wore like an army jacket, very kind of stereotypical, and
Okay.
like I decided. The weird thing is, like, I'd actually been in a lot of fights, like, as a nerd. Like, I was a nerdy kid. I was not popular, but I'd been in a ton of fights.
Okay.
And I don't know if he really had. He kind of coasted on his rep, and he was just a big kind of lummox. And there was just one day on the bus where I'm just like, I'd been gearing up on it all like summer. I'd been lifting weights. My dad had given me a pep talk, like, you got to do this. Like, the classic, like, 80s, 90s bully story.
Right. You gotta face up to him. You gotta.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember, like, I screwed up all my courage. Like, it was like that Monday, get on the bus, and I'm like, if he does anything, we're fighting. And I'm laying down the law. It's time for old Kev to take the reins. And get on the bus, squirts me with a water pistol from the back of the bus. Like, immediately, I stand up, which I'd never done. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. And everyone's like, holy shit. He seemed taken aback, but was like, all right, fine. Yeah, man, when we get to school, I'm like, yeah, fine. I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, back and forth. All this animosity, people cheering. And then it's like, well, I guess I have to sit down. We're in a bus ride. And so I turn around like, yeah. And then just the adrenaline just drains out of me as we're picking up other kids, and I'm like thinking it over, and then the people are talking and speculating, and it's just like...
And he's like twice your size.
Yeah, it's like...
Exchanging bets.
Exactly. It's just like, oh no, like, what have I done? This is terrible. Like, I'm scared now. I should have done it then. I should have fought him like on the bus, like action movie style, and we go on the roof like a train car fight.
Exactly, yeah. And then you're going to go in a tunnel, you will have to duck and lay flat on the top.
Exactly. Yeah. I have to pull him up. Give me your hand.
Right.
Earn his respect. So we do pull in. The adrenaline comes back. We both walk up. The bus driver like trying to manage the situation, but I remember we both grabbed the thing and opened it, like the big door thing to open the bus. We get out. It was like the movie 3 O'Clock Hot. Like people are hanging out of windows, buses, screaming. I immediately take the initiative, and like I think through pure luck, like I knew like if I duck down, I can pick him up and get him down, and I got him down. And was hitting him with a bunch of shots. Like I was not in control.
He's on the ground.
He's on the ground. I'm on top of him, and I'm just pounding on him. And like it went long enough to where I'm like, he wasn't like out. Like he was struggling. And I think it was like this moment that changed my life, but it was pure luck because like if it had gone longer, like I don't know, he could have flipped me off. He could have like reversed it. But as it was, we were pulled apart with me on top. So it changed my life. People are cheering for me. Like his friends are like, you kicked his ass. I'm high-fiving people.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. We get suspended, but I'm feeling great. Like I've exorcised this demon.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I go home and I'm suspended. And so like I'm instantly home like an hour later. And I get a call from him and he wants to do the rematch.
Oh, no.
And I'm just like, I just had this win. Can I?
No backsies.
Yeah. And then I'm like, this is not what I want. And he's like, we need to do it in our neighborhood. And I'm just like, oh, I don't like the sound of this. Like, I kind of needed the crowd cheering me on.
Yeah.
And I'd already gotten a couple congratulatory calls too. Like people would go to the nurse's office and call me. And I'm like, well, this is going to suck. And then so I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. We got to do it. And so I'm like, well, how about like down by Stump Pond? And it was like, no, that's too close to your house. I'm like, all right, well, like by the corner of Cedar Ridge. He's like, well, I can
Stump Pond? This sounds like a Stephen King novel.
No, I know. Yeah, it was very suburban, like mountain town.
I love it.
But it gets into a weird logistical battle where it's like, okay, over by Cedar Ridge, I could do that. Yeah, is that good for you? That's great. Okay.
How about the Circle K? No, not that Circle K, the other Circle K.
Yeah, exactly. Weirdly, at some point we do settle on a time, and then like he shows up at my door 20 minutes later when it was not the time for the fight, and he kind of has this sheepish grin, and he's like, hey man, my mom was listening, like I can't get a third strike, I'll go back to juvie. I think that was fake. But like she said, we just have to be friends, like we be friends. And I'm like, yeah man, this is like in my mind, like this is the best case scenario.
Yes.
Hey, we shook hands. Became friends, and it like changed my life overnight. Like beating him up changed my whole existence. And
unbelievable.
Yeah, and like suddenly I started hanging out with like the popular kids.
And was he part of that group of popular kids or not?
He was part of a kind of a burnout tough guy group of popular kids.
Okay.
But when the word spread that like, oh, you beat up, well, I'm not going to say his name. You beat up this guy, who, by the way, I Googled him like 15 years ago, and he had become a cop, and he had abused someone at a traffic stop. Like he had roughed up someone. I'm like, he's still bullying people. He still hasn't learned his lesson. But so there were like other groups, like the preppy kids were kind of the really popular kids. So I fell in with them, and there was like a typical high school thing where it's like, well, there might be a fight tomorrow in the lunchroom. Like, can we count on you in this brawl? I was like,
we know you like to fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was New Jersey. It was
now
like that
you're
was
a mercenary. Like you're just for
it
hire.
was, and I was sitting with them, and I hit it off, and then I became friends with this other group. One of which was this kid, Ryan, I guess I'll just say his first name, so now I'm hanging out in this whole new social circle, this whole new world, and the guys accepted me. I think girls were still kind of like, you're that guy who was nerdy last year. It took me like another year to kind of cross over. So there was this guy, Ryan, where he was, first of all, like one of the most beautiful men I've ever seen in my life. Like he's... And I live where movie stars live. I live in LA.
Right. And
to this day, he is still...
Right.
Like, you would catch, like, an office lady kind of just, like, a lingering look at him. Like, 16-year-old kid. Beautiful model looks. He hooked up with everyone. He comes to me and he was like, hey, there's these girls down in Denville, which is, like, an hour away. Like, they want to hook up with us. And I'm like, I think they want to hook up with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've seen me and our other friend, who's also Asian, which, you know... was not again a ticket to the top in the 90s in New Jersey. But it was like, yeah, man, that's cool. Let's do that. It's an hour away. This is how good looking he was. An older senior girl who he was hooking up with drove us an hour to this house.
So that you could hook up with other girls?
Yeah, that's how like he had her wrapped around his finger.
No.
Yeah.
That is sick.
I mean-
That's wrong. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think she cared. Just like, yeah, as long as I get to hang out. It was great. He was like a wizard of hooking up.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry to interrupt, Kevin, but I need to know if you also Googled him 15 years ago to see
I
what
want to
happened
see
with
what
him.
his face is.
He's got kind of a generic name, so it was hard to look him up.
okay.
I think he owns a motorcycle shop, which is like still cool.
Yeah.
And I know he married someone from high school. But I don't know. Yeah, I would like to believe he's still beautiful.
Yeah, let's just keep it in
Because
our
he had a
mind.
gift where it was just
Yeah.
like, I still am in awe of it. I could go on.
I just feel
for an
like,
hour.
though, but those people tend to peak right then.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
And
no,
then
no,
that's
totally.
their moment. And then I like to think of them as they often end up, which is bald and with bellies hanging over their
Some of that
buckles.
has hit some of those guys,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he might still be okay.
Yeah.
So the plan was we're going to go down. The woman's going to drop us off. We're going to hook up with these women, stay at the house, and then our mall is like 45 minutes away from our town, but 10 minutes away from this place or whatever. So
Okay.
we'll go to the mall, get dropped off, and then someone's mom is coming the next day to pick us up from the mall, assuming another mom has dropped us off. So this is the plan. We're
Oh,
going to
Okay.
out all night.
like you've slept over at a friend's house.
Exactly.
Not some
We all
girl's
like-
house.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We get there. It is not what was promised. There are not girls, plural, looking to hook up. There was like there was some other girl who's not involved or may had a boyfriend. There is one attractive girl who immediately like pairs off with Ryan and they go into the bedroom like within 10 minutes. So we're
Yeah.
just like sitting in the kitchen waiting. There were a couple people there. The vibe was awkward. No one was interested in hooking up with us. That was not on the table. So I'm already kind of doing the math of like, well, then is this the whole night? Like, where are we going to sleep? And then, 15 minutes later, he comes out like shit-eating grin. He's happy. Like, what's going on? Let's get some beers. And then,
Not acknowledging that this is not what you were told. was
no,
gonna happen.
not
Okay.
at all.
Yeah.
He was like this. He had this like blissful unaware. He would just kind of bounce through life. I did end up having to get into a lot of fights to kind of protect him from getting beat up by people's boyfriends, obviously.
Oh, gotcha.
And this was one of
I
those
like
where,
that you're the bodyguard.
yeah,
You're the heavy.
no, yeah,
Kevin's
crazy.
the heavy.
Yeah.
Why did he even need you guys there? He just wanted male company?
I think he thought it was going to be something
Okay.
different, but he doesn't realize, like, well, you have this effect on women.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
don't.
He thinks
you know.
that's what it is for. He thinks his existence is everyone's
It's like
existence.
John Hamm in the 30 Rock.
Yeah,
episode.
blissfully
Yeah,
unaware.
he's just
Yeah.
in a bubble.
Like, look, I obviously blossomed, guys. You're looking at me right
Oh,
now.
I mean,
you see
my-
what I
know.
turned into, but at the time.
It's hard for me to even look at you.
And I'm sorry, you're doing great. It immediately goes south where it was like, well, their boyfriends are coming over. Somebody's pissed off because she was seeing this person. So it immediately becomes like, well, you guys have to get the fuck out. It was like, what do you mean get the fuck out? It's Denville. It's 45 minutes away or an hour away. We're like children. We don't have cars. Like, we don't have our licenses yet. We're like 15, 16. I just remember like going out and at one point, like the gang of guys shows up and is looking for us. And we're like hiding in the backyards, like under boats that are turned over by the lake where you're like, whatever. We're running, we're walking, we avoid them. We finally make it to a main road where we're like, we're just going to hitchhike to get home. We finally get someone to pull over. It's like an 18 or 19-year-old. That's a little scary, but he's like, how much money do you have? And we might have had like $50, but then we could go. He wanted like $100 or something. And so we're like, I was like, Ryan, fuck you. You're paying for it. We're going to like an ATM machine. We're going to get the money.
Jesus.
They had them at the time still. Yes.
No, I'm just,
they were newer.
This is like a lot of money to give a guy a ride.
But it's like, well, we have no. It's that or nothing.
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
I'm not sleeping on the street,
No,
and
I
I'm
mean,
like,
the guy is
you-
just ballsy to.
Yeah.
He didn't fall under the spell of Ryan's beauty and just. Like,
he was a straight man, and I all the way straight. Because if there was any
Right.
deviation,
It
Ryan would have
it
pulled him.
would've- Yeah, right.
But like a planetary
Or at least
attraction.
recruited, yeah.
Yeah, and he would have bad haircuts too. Like he would shave the sides. And it's nothing. He was he's like, I came in, I shaved my head today. Like, did it affect it? No, it was even better. 'cause
He
it's
just
like,
wanted to see how powerful he was. He's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, what if I just like do an opposite mohawk? No, I'm still got it.
yeah, he could wear a clown suit. He could do.
Asshole.
So we go to get the money, and then we're both. There's another dude too. We're yelling at Ryan like, "You're fucking paying for this. You just had sex.
Right.
We almost got beat up.
Right.
Fuck you." It's like, all right. We go get the money, and then like we're in the car, and then the guy's like, "Hey, I might have to pick up some other friends if that's cool." And then that obviously is like, that doesn't sound good at all.
no.
We're gonna get rolled and beat up and the
Right.
shit beat out of us, and then. somewhat anticlimactically, we do pick up the guys, 3 or 4 of them, huge dudes, like pile into the car, but it's totally fine. They're going to a party and they're kind of laughing like, oh, we got to go drop these kids off. Cool, blah, blah, blah. Drop us off. It's probably like, 4 a.m. at this point, and we do get home safely. That's sort of the end of that story. But then the next day, we have to go to work at Action Park, which you might be familiar with.
You worked at Action Park.
I worked at Action Park for 3 years, yeah.
Okay, so for those who are uninitiated, tell us what Action Park is.
Like a sort of a notorious northern New Jersey death trap created in the 90s. It was an amusement park set on the side of a mountain that is a ski slope in the summer, and 90% of the rides are gravity-based. So you're just like falling down the mountain, falling down the hill, rolling.
There's a documentary about this.
There is,
right?
I believe, on Hulu. I think it's called Class Action Park.
Yeah.
There's books written about it. If you Google it, like the Wikipedia page is insane.
Oh my God, I want to watch this.
There's a Johnny Knoxville movie that was loosely based on it. But yeah, like people would die. Like they did not like consult any, what's the kind of scientist that you need for a physicist? Like someone where they understand how forces work?
Yeah.
Like, there was none of that. So there was like a loop-de-loop ride. You can't say it's like a 50-foot loop-de-loop where they put a mannequin in and it came out in like 15 pieces. People will get stuck. There's like you can't just try that. You got to run the numbers. Like, oh, the momentum, the mass will carry the force, whatever.
Right.
I'm not a scientist,
right.
But they didn't do any of that,
No.
and so that didn't happen. And there was one that was just the cliff jump. You just jump off a cliff.
That's right.
It's a 35-foot, and there was like a 40-foot, and you jump into freezing cold water, which is also where the other ride lets out. So people would be like, dads would be corralling kids and just catch a foot in the forehead and get knocked out.
Oh my God.
And the water was freezing cold, and then they also had something called the Alpine Slide, which was again like a thin cement track on the side of a mountain with a little rickety cart where you could push it forward and that would go and you'd push back and it was the brakes. But the whole thing was like, again, like the Wild West, because like it was all run by teens and children. Like security was adults and a couple of medical personnel zipping around in their carts were adults. But 90% of the people were like teenagers watching teens, people getting drunk.
Like a year ago, you were at the park as a...
Yeah, 100%.
And now you're running it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you
guys were getting drunk as you were...
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember we found a keg one time. We're just like, let's go drink this. And then, it's just like, we're working. But it's like, let's just drink it.
Oh, my God.
So when was this place condemned?
It was condemned in the early 90s, a series of lawsuits. They had to shut it down.
Early 2000s? Early 90s?
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they brought it back as like Mountain Creek. And I think it's much safer now and less fun. And I think most of the scariest rides are gone.
Right. Less dead bodies just lying around.
Yeah. Like the Alpine Slide, so you would push forward and you'd go down. But like the teens running it would send like a little kid down who would very quickly become scared and put the brakes on. But then the teenager going after them is going like Mach 3 booking down the mountain and then sees a kid, and then if you pull back on the brakes too hard you can easily derail because it's curving, and then you would scrape your arm. I would literally see people get off at the bottom carrying ribbons of their own flesh.
Oh my God.
Ripped off, like hideous, like when you see taffy being made, like that kind of. And
So like I've been on water slides, for instance, where they have
Brag.
I know, right? They have some teenager at the top who waits until the kid gets to the bottom before sending the next kid. So you're saying you guys just were like, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Like, even if there's a little kid who hasn't made it to the bottom yet, you're sending the next one.
Right. They had the guy at the top of the mountain. They
Right.
did not have him waiting. I think he was supposed to time like 30 seconds, but he would just, you're bored and
You're
the
just
kid's sitting there like, go.
Okay.
And somebody's, talking to some other female ride
Right.
attendant and
Right,
trying to
okay.
hook up. And it was like, there was so much of that. There was so much like violence and danger around every corner and turn and just like fighting. And I worked my way up from the cafeteria to then the upper level cafeteria where it was at least you were outdoors. But then you would watch, there would be like a wave pool with artificial waves, and you would see people who don't really know how to swim, who didn't really look up like, well, what's going to happen? They think it's just like splashing, and like people would go down. You'd see stretchers running around, like wires would electrocute people in that pool. It was horrible. And there's all sorts of just like, the lamest pranks. Like I just remember we would throw our burger patty, we would throw our burger patty to see like the distance we could get over this pool to the abandoned area down below it, where you could almost see like how far you could get, like shuffleboard and just like, pantsing people.
Well, how many of the patties ended up in the pool?
A significant amount would get in the pool.
So you've just like your arm is ripped off. You've been traumatized, and then you like crash land into burger patties.
Yeah, you step on a frozen patty,
Just
banana
disgusting.
style, and slip. And
Banana style.
and there was like just highway robbery too. Like there would be cubby holes at the bottom of the rides where people put their stuff in, kind of like an honor system. And then, people who worked at the park would just wait and watch and wait till the dad was out of the view and then go and grab the bags. And it's like, you have a camera now and a flashlight. It was
Are
just
you one of these people?
Well, I don't know if...
Kevin.
No, it's horrible. I was a scumbag. Yeah, absolutely. I did it a couple of times and then I stopped because I did feel guilty. And it was so stressful because there were undercover cops who would... I mean, maybe that could have been a rumor. I don't know if they had the budget for that. But at the time, it was like there are undercover people, friend of a friend stories of like, oh, I did get snatched by that guy or whatever. So you would watch the parents and the family move away. Then you'd kind of look at a good bag and you'd be like, okay, I think I'm going to make a move. But then you have to kind of look around at everyone else and see if anyone's looking at you. And it's like the most stressful sweat. And you're just like, power walking up, grabbing it, and then running. And
It sounds really stressful.
yeah, I
Not
did it
worth
a
it.
couple of times and I felt guilty.
Yeah.
Like I definitely going from a nerd to hanging out with the cool kids. There was like a learning curve where I was like, oh, I'm just going to be an asshole too. And then you kind of...
Right.
So then I did eventually get a job at what they call the beer hut, which was like a beer hut in the center of the park, which was not owned by the park, but was owned by this other millionaire guy.
They're just letting 16-year-olds run
Yeah,
a
and
beer.
serve
Okay.
beer. And like technically I couldn't, but I did. And
Of course.
I remember that's where we found the keg, where somebody was like, oh, there was just a keg out back, and was like, cool, let's take it to this house party. We managed to hack it. I don't even know if we had the tap for it, but we somehow got it open. It's like the worst skunked beer I've ever had in my life. It's like nauseating. But you're like 15. You're like, this is all we got.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're like, so you just like found this outside? And he was like, no, it was like sitting in that field for like 2 months. This partially open keg had been sitting in the field for like 2 months. And it was like, all right.
Aged beer.
We just kept drinking.
Am I crazy? Does high school seem late to have a bully? Like, there are still bullies in high school?
No, it was like a social activity. It was like going to the homecoming game. Like you would go to the flats, there's going to be a fight, or down by the end of the block in Highland Lakes, there's going to be a fight. Like I fought one kid up there, and
You couldn't be stopped.
this was one though where it was like a bunch of us, like 3 or 4 wise ass friends, making fun of the one kid in the group who was kind of a little bit of a weirdo and kind of ostracized, and all of us making fun of him. And then somehow I got nominated to be the one to fight him, and it was like a weird, like, well, we were all. Why am I on the hot seat? Why do I have to fight him?
Because
Yes.
you earned your reputation after
I know.
that bus.
Been
That's
seen in
true.
a fight, and then you were a fighter.
I remember going, so it was like, okay, I'm going to fight him today. And we went up to Highland Lakes. We're all there. It's like, we're going to call him to make sure, like, okay, go to the spot now. And I remember, like, dialing the number and calling, and it's like rings once. And it was just like, you know what, guys? I don't think he's going to pick up. I don't think he's going to. Like, I'm like, whoa. Like, he picked up. I'm like, I'm just, like, sweating. On the third ring, he picked up. We're still doing this. And then so we go, and we go, it's the end of this street, and there's one house that's, like, visible. And I'm like, they're like, let's go further away. He's got like 10 people. I got my 4 people, the 4 idiots. And it's like, let's go further away so no one can break it up. And I'm like, I think this is fine. This is good. Like, let's not be crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe this woman's going to need to rescue me. And again, so we just did it. And it was like the best fight I ever had, where it was like, I was just like, I'm just going to go for it. Like, I remember, like, I'm going to do a cool swagger towards him. Like, if that's my last cool moment, people are going to fucking remember this swagger.
Yeah.
So I like sauntered up to him and hit him with the right hand. His nose fucking explodes blood. I did my same move where I took him down. And then he was even stronger. So I was kind of just like holding him there.
Yeah.
And he was wriggling around. It was boring, but I had like one hand free. I'm hitting him, but it wasn't hurting him. And then little by little aware of like my strength is draining out of me. Like I'm holding him and he's like stronger. He's bigger than me. Like a lot of people were bigger than me. And I'm just like, oh, the clock is ticking on this. Like it is going to turn on me. And again, I got lucky where the woman comes out and starts yelling. People are like, fuck you, whatever. And then like she calls the cops. So the cops show up. I jump up immediately, and my buddy had brought his 4-wheeler, hop on the back of my buddy's 4-wheeler with cop cars coming up. We tear off into the woods. It was like insane. I'm hanging on to the back.
Amazing.
And I remember like it earned his respect where like the cops talked to him because he did not have a Batmobile ready to ferry him away. And he had to talk, and he would not admit who he fought so that I wouldn't get in trouble. And then the next day, and again, this is just like the 90s in New Jersey, I remember coming in with my shirt covered in his blood, holding it like over my head, walking into health class. And Mr. Carney, the teacher, is like clapping his hands. The teacher is clapping his hands. The kids are clapping his hands. They're like, this guy's a fucking king.
Usually people come in and tell stories about people like you.
No, I know. Yeah. They're just like violence and whoever won the violence. Like that was like the New Jersey.
And this was one of your friends.
Yeah. And he was.
Kevin, this has been delightful.
Great stories.
And I know to stay out of your way. I don't want to get on your bad side.
I had a lovely time. It was great being here with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Really, obviously I knew you were a great storyteller and it was very funny. And wrap those hands in beer and ice.
Hell yeah. You know it.
And we'll be right back with What Did We Learn Today?
Make this new school year an opportunity for your kids to learn important life skills with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely while parents keep an eye on kids' money habits. Greenlight also helps families get into their fall routine with a chores feature that lets parents assign chores and pay kids allowance when they check them off. Get your first month free at greenlight.com/Wondery. Greenlight.com/Wondery.
This episode is sponsored by AutoTrader. There's a good chance you're driving right now. Look around. Safely. What do you see? Cars. Lots of them. And guess what? They're probably on AutoTrader. Whether you're into timeless classics or the latest trends. Did somebody say solar-powered, eco-friendly, vegan, leather-wrapped, aromatherapy-scented, disco ball-equipped, self-driving car? If you see it on the road, you can likely find it on AutoTrader. Big cars, small cars, blue cars, new cars, used cars, electric cars, and one day, maybe even flying cars. With millions to choose from, buying a car becomes a whole lot easier. See it, find it, AutoTrader. Find your next car on autotrader.com.
Chris.
Yes.
Are you ready to learn what we learned today?
Please.
The total number of witch trials in Europe, which are known to have ended in executions, is around 12,000.
That's a lot of witches being
Yikes.
murdered.
A Puritan is a member of the group of English Protestants of the late 16th and 17th centuries who regarded the Reformation of the Church of England under Elizabeth as incomplete and sought to simplify and regulate forms of worship.
Oh.
In 17th century England and New England, it was believed that a witch's cake had the power to reveal whether witchcraft was afflicting a person with symptoms of illness. Such a cake or biscuit was made with rye flour and the urine of the afflicted person. The cake was then fed to a dog. If the dog exhibited the same symptoms as the ill person, the presence of witchcraft was proven. Why a dog? A dog was believed to be a common familiar associated with the devil. The dog was then supposed to point to the witches which had afflicted the victim.
With
just
his
like
paw?
Like, or the tail or the...
No, it's just...
Had these people never met a cat?
Right.
How are they calling dogs the familiars of the devil?
Witches are famously friends with cats.
All right.
Friends with cats. What a weird way to say that.
Well, they are. They're pals.
Yes.
And also just cats
true.
Just of themselves are creepy.
Very demonic.
Ooh, although she survived execution, Tituba was placed in prison for 13 months and was abandoned by her owner. Oh, thanks. Good. Wouldn't you want to be abandoned?
Yeah.
She was eventually released, and sold to a new owner, but appears to have disappeared from contemporary historical text and remains a mystery of the Salem trials.
God, I hope she escaped and had a nice quiet life in a cottage alone where she could just read cozy mysteries.
I'm sure that's what happened. The oldest discovery of tattooed human skin to date is found on the body of Otzi, the Iceman, dating to between 3,370 and 3,100 BC. Whoa.
Otzi the Iceman.
Otzi the Iceman. The Salem witch trials lasted from June 1692 to May 1693. It is really amazing that it was so short.
Yeah.
If you're a witch, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, or you'll be killed. Witch hunts are practiced today throughout the world, while prevalent worldwide hot spots of current witch hunting are India, Papua New Guinea, Amazonia, and sub-Saharan Africa. Body counts of modern witch hunts exceed those of early modern witch hunting. Jesus. Also, one thing I forgot to mention was that Kevin has also written a book called Punching Tom Hanks. You see a theme with his work.
Yes.
Lots of violence and punching, which sounds hilarious, and I'm going to get it. and
Yeah.
you should get it too.
I'm going to put it in our books list. And speaking of books,
Yes.
I had a fun read, not for this episode, but that took place during the Salem witch trials, by an author named Chris Bojalian. And I think I'm really butchering his last name. Can I read some Patreon names for you guys?
Let's do it.
So we have some members who have not been given their shout out.
Their proper due.
And I think it's about time that they get it.
Let's do it.
Karen DeMars, thank you for
you,
being
Karen.
at our top tier level. You're not one of those Karens.
True.
The one, the only Chris Anderson. That's what they call themselves.
The one, the only Chris Anderson?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Sherry, just Sherry.
Just Sherry.
Sherry with an I.
Okay.
Ashley Bacard.
Bacard. Okay.
Not Pickard.
And not Bacardi.
None of those. But you know what? Ashley might like a little Bacardi now and then.
Maybe. Who doesn't?
How about this name? I love it. Andrew Drinkwater.
Oh, drink water and Bacardi.
Well, you know what? I don't think I want that mix, but
No, it doesn't sound good.
I do like to
think you're
be
supposed
reminded to
drink water.
hydrate.
You're right.
Andrew, and I also want to thank you for being a member because your membership allows us to keep Garen in Celsius.
Yeah.
Celsius?
Celsius.
And his cute t-shirts.
Right.
And allows us to make the show.
Yes.
And hopefully at some point we'll be on camera just, keeping our lipstick looking good.
Oh, boy. That's a tall order.
I can't help with that.
Well, you're going to have to wear lipstick because that's one of the rules I'm going to make when we're on camera is that you also wear lipstick. Finally.
Finally, you can break it out.
Well, I think we're going to, we've made a really long episode.
Yeah.
So everything else we wanted to talk about is just going to have to wait.
Yeah, and if you don't have Patreon and you're listening to this on the regular format, just know there's going to be a lot of extra goodies.
You missed
on the long one.
The big chunk of things I talked about that are
And
hilarious.
and some more of Kevin's funny stories also, actually.
Oh, and it's Halloween, so I hope you're eating a lot of candy right now while you listen. And don't forget to brush your teeth because you need to.
Yeah. And until next time,
Remain calm.